Hi guys, let's talk about corporate headshots and personal branding. They really tie into each other. Think about it. You get all of this, all of these people coming in to do their corporate headshots, and you want to upgrade them to portrait shoots, glam shoots, boudoir shoots, family shoots. It's endless. We always want to add on, but first we've got to nail down the real basics of headshots and corporate headshots so that you can go anywhere or have them come to your studio. So let's just talk about the light setup, because this video is about corporate and headshot posing, standing, sitting, and we can even use the posing table, you never know if you have one, just to give you some more options. The idea is that I want to take you through all the rules, but first I'm going to show you, I'm not going to change this light, it's going to stay the same. I just want to show you how I'm getting this look. So currently, Monique is standing about 2.5 feet from the backdrop. And I'm going to show you the difference of looks by making her step back a step and making her come forward 2 feet. It's really extraordinary. I also have the option to bring in white V-flats or black V-flats, which will give me a entirely different dramatic look. But I'm going to start with no V-flats. This modifier is the extra large white umbrella by Profoto. It is the easiest, biggest modifier to travel with because it just closes as an umbrella and goes in a packet. You don't have to wrestle with a softbox. It has one layer of diffusion. This is the biggest modifier that I have in the studio, and it resembles natural light so beautifully. But remember, where is the sun? It's way up high. So you'll see I've elevated this modifier so it's up and slightly pointing down. And what that's going to do is give me this beautiful gradient of light and this gorgeous shadow under her chin. And it gives you a little bit of depth just by tilting it forward. Now this is a big spray of light, okay? And if you want harder light, you need a smaller modifier. And the closer the modifier, the softer the light. Now this is 5.5 feet wide, roughly, and I'm 5.5 feet, so I'm 5'3". So I can tell that I'm about 5.5 feet from her face. So that's a good rule of thumb. You want the modifier to be around the same size, and I'm going to show you what happens when I move it forward and back. Then the distance from here to here makes the background lighter or darker, depending on whether she steps forward or back, depending on whether I move that light forward or back. And then I have this option to bring in that negative fill just to darken everything down. So it's super simple, and now we can start posing. There are so many crazy rules with headshots and corporate, and let's just simplify it. We want to start off, most headshots are literally from the top of the hip bone, okay, to the top of the head. Now, it gives us a little bit of option to crop above the belly button. If you take the photo too high and crop too tight, you don't have that option. Also, we have this amazing ability on Photoshop to warp and liquefy bodies if people get bumps, muffin tops, overhang, or they think they look bad, or they say, I'm overweight and I don't like it. You know, you want to give them a little bit of a trim and a tuck and make sure you either get it with posing or get it in post-production. If you crop too tight, you sometimes can't warp and liquefy when their limbs are off the edge of the frame. So just be conscious of a real headshot is probably a composition 3, 4, or 5. It's not really 1 and 2. That real tight face shot is more portrait, more cover girl, unless they're personal branding and it lends to their beautiful face. Like imagine if you get this gorgeous beauty therapist and she has freckles and gorgeous hair, and you just do this close-up shot of her face and it's all about beauty, but her brand is beauty, so it makes sense. Now, Monique has come to us. She's clearly a CEO. She's the owner of her company. She's in her power suit, and we don't get a lot of movement in the body in a power suit. They're not easy to sit in, they're not easy to move in, and now I'm going to make her do a whole lot of different poses, but they're not like dress poses where she's going to be moving her body. That would be more personal branding and portraiture. This is going to be more solid, more corporate, more straight up and down, and I start this easy. All I want you to do is step your left foot forward, so she's almost on a 45-degree angle towards the camera, and I'm going to start there. So I want this shoulder leading. Okay, and the reason I want this shoulder leading is whatever happens now, you can see from the front her body is on a 45-degree angle away from the camera. And if you want me to take the bad version shot of that so that you can see why, turn flat, That's it, stay there. So if I pose Monique here, and she's just flat towards me with her hands down by her sides, you'll see that's great, but I'm going to have to move her body, otherwise she's just standing straight up and down. The second I turn her shoulders on the 45, okay, I can start, wait, let me take it first so you can see the progression into this. You can see I'm starting to shape her shoulders. Now I want to look at her body, and I want to make her shape her body into the camera. I'm going to drop her front shoulder by an inch and open her up an inch. Now, I noticed from the front, when I saw this, I could see that little gap there. And if I can see that gap, I'm not going to close it. And let me just show you something so simple. Your backhand, slide it. No, your backhand. That's it, slide down. Good. No, in front, a bit more, come forward, stop. Halfway, bend your elbow, you got it. Now, when there's no gap here in the front, look at this. She's going to look wider than she really is. And then if I just bring her hand to here and show that gap, but I don't let her bend that elbow because I don't want her to be in a teapot, right? I just want her to open her arm up. So remember, the teapot is just an open arm. It's not about going like this. Don't do this. When do you walk around a bar or a restaurant like this? Nobody does that. You don't walk into a bar and go, hey, how you doing? So don't make people do it. Remember, if you want to create some space here, just move the hand around so that you can see through. But these gaps make a big difference because they show the true size of their body. And it slims people down and it makes them look better. Close that gap a little bit more because it's just too open. That's it. And bring your chin around to me now. No, this way. That's a girl. That's it. Stay there. And a little tiny smirk. You got it. So as I start to open up and shape her body, I can see some light coming through here. As you can see, I can even pinch in her waist if I needed to. I don't need to. But the option to slim her through here, because you left that tiny little gap, is extraordinary. And it takes her body from being blocked up in just a black square or rectangle to being an hourglass with a triangle here. And that's what we're always looking for. Open up bodies and make them work. Now let's start moving hands. So first of all, I explained to Monique, she stood in beautiful posture, right? Do it. This is her posture. And I said, the first thing I'm going to do is put my hand to her torso and push back there, right? Because everybody does that. They all stand like this and push their boobs up and out, right? Girls do it. Men do it too. Men lift up their chest. Men do one worse. They put their arms out, which is not a problem because men look bigger and it's not a problem. Women are always trying to look smaller on camera, so I don't want her to puff her chest or her boobs. I want her to go the opposite way. I want her to just come in a little bit, and I'm not telling her to diminish her body because I'm not saying women should be smaller. You understand, like I'm always posing. Men are always about being bigger and wider, and women are always about being more in. Think about that. You know, I'm a feminist, I'm telling women to diminish their pose, diminish themselves. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is shape her body in instead of pushing her body out. Because a woman standing like this doesn't look good. And a man might do that. A man might stand big-chested and big-armed, and he's just going to look like a big dude. But if a woman does it, she's just going to look like she's trying to posture. So I'm always trying to bring her into full ownership and power of who she is, but just super great in her body. All right, so I'm going to take this square pose and I'm going to do something really simple. I'm just going to turn it out to a 45 a little bit more. I'm going to come up onto one toe. Notice as soon as she came up onto this toe, this hip popped out. When that hip popped out, that triangle got bigger and her body shaped. It's still not in a big fancy pose. This is still doable for me. And then we're going to take that torso and push it back, and then we're going to lift that chin forward and push that forward. So instead of being all tummy towards the camera and chin back like most people, I'm swapping that to the back foot and pushing the chin forward and the booty back, but only enough, just subtly, that it doesn't look like she's leaning forward. All right, here. Now, we noticed when we first got our light test, little baby smirk right there, beautiful, that we can start moving now. So I'm going to start something really simple here. I'm going to start here. I'm going to drop this foot. I'm going to step the right foot back, and then I'm going to turn 45 degrees this way, right? And this time we're going to fold her arms. Now, I don't do it like this because I feel like it blocks up the body, and I also feel like it's defensive body language. If she's going to fold her arms, I want her to touch and touch. Now, always look at that bottom hand in the camera. If you feel like it's too much, you can swap it around and go this way and this way. Yes, exactly right. Now, this hand's going to tuck in there. Now I don't have that bottom hand. Always make that decision. Now, what you don't want is for her to be I Dream of Jeannie. Okay, so I don't want her to be out here like this. I want her to be in a position that she would be in. Nice, strong position. And then I'm going to relax those fingers. That's it, but let those elbows come in. So if it has to come up, that's not a problem. You're going to push your torso back. That's it. And then you're coming forward with your upper body, chin forward and down. There you go. Now, you get somebody, let's say you're in a corporate office and you're photographing 10 headshots and you get 15 minutes with each person and you gauge very, very fast when they walk in. You have to really try and understand how comfortable she is with what she's wearing in her body. And you can usually talk to people really quickly and just sort of say, look, nobody likes having their photo taken. Everybody tells me they'd rather go to the dentist, which I actually find quite offensive because I've never been served champagne at my dentist. And also, when I leave the dentist, I don't get beautiful photographs. So I know it's uncomfortable, but you get that minute to make that rapport. And then you have to gauge very, very quickly how comfortable they are with their body. Because if they're curvy and they're confident in their movements, you can see that they're confident in their curves. But when you get somebody who is not confident in their curves, you're going to have to run with slimming poses. So everything I'm just doing with Monique, I'll show you the slimmer version of it. And to be honest with you, the slimmer version to this pose is that. That's it. If she was curvy, you're just going to drop that shoulder towards there. And if her hands change that crop, you're just going to put them down by the sides. Like that and down by the sides, and then you're still going to drop the shoulder to the side and hit that on the 45 that way with the chin back this way. So bring your hands back up again. We don't tilt her because she's not curvy and she doesn't need it. She only needs a tiny tilt to bring her chin towards the camera. So she's got her power pose. Yep, we're going to go up this side. We're going to there and there. Let's take that shot. Bring your chin around to me now and relax your torso a little. And don't drop your left shoulder so much. You can bring it up a tiny. Good girl, that's beautiful right there. Now let's look at composition. I went low, so I'm below her hips, but it gives me some cropping. Tuck your right elbow back. Yes, beautiful. Good girl, chin up a tiny touch. You got it. Wow, that was a power pose right there. Okay, let's do a couple of little smiles, and I'll show you how far I would take a corporate smile. So I want people to come up really slowly. So that hand underneath, tuck it under a little bit more. That's a girl, beautiful. Pull that elbow back. So I always want wrist movement. I didn't want her elbow out, okay? I could see a gap, so I'm just pushing that shoulder back, but I don't want to lose her 45 because it's right there. All right, look at my composition. Right, push that torso back a tiny touch. Good girl, beautiful smile. And that's that was gorgeous. Okay, but it was too much. So chin this way. I want you to start with a tiny little smirk, soft, good girl. Now, really come in with those eyes for me. Give me a little smirk there. Gotcha, gorgeous. I want you to give me an easy, I'm a real estate agent and I can sell you a $4 million house smile. That's beautiful. Now you can come up a little bit more and say, I'm super friendly, I'm your local dentist and I'm absolutely wonderful, I'm going to make gorgeous. And then I'm an entrepreneur and I've got everything I ever needed in the world and yes, and now give me a gorgeous big laugh like, Okay, and I wouldn't take headshots to that. But you can see the progression, and you don't need to tell people to smile. You need to tell them how to smile at you. Like, you've got to give them ways to come up into that smile. Okay, look at it like this. When she's looking at me, turn square up to me this way and just keep your hands there. Push your chin towards me. Now, just looking at expressions, if I say to her, just give me let me take no expression, done. Tiny smirk. Okay, with the eyes a bit more. Beautiful. Come up slowly. Give me that little friend. Yes, now a little easy smile, like that's a girl, that's it. Now, let go of the smile and come up again because it's fresh every time. Now, yes, easy. Yeah, good. Now, let go. This time, we're going to go bigger, but not the biggest. Go. Yes, now we're going to go as big as you got. Go. And now we're going to laugh together. Gorgeous. Okay, and slow it down and come up slowly. Now, when she was doing her stills before, we had her in this gorgeous dress because we wanted to go from corporate to portrait real fast. If they're personal branding, they can wear anything. Okay, corporate is a bit stiff and boring, but hey, it's a good way to make money. But let's have a look at how I took her from like this. So what I did was I put her into like a sort of real gorgeous cover girl shot, and I said, relax your mouth, bottom lip open. That's it, like that. And then after I asked her to relax her bottom lip open, push your chin up so that you really own it. Like, I am the queen of the world, you got it. And then what did I do? I said, start to smile, but with your mouth open. Like, it's less than that. Do it again. Relax and just start. Yes. So it's like I've relaxed my mouth, and then I'm like, I'm just bringing it up, and it's a totally different smile. Now, remember, when you laugh smile, what I said to Monique was, I want you to bring your top teeth off your bottom teeth. So you can't go, because nobody does that. Everybody goes, and they cover their bottom teeth, and they use their shoulders, right? Nobody just goes, and stand still. So let them move their body, and all I do to direct that is, I want you to take a step back. I want you to clap, no, right foot back, yes. Hold hands like here. You're going to move them, so lower, right? And you're going to lean into me, and I want you to give me a big laugh. Now, don't tuck your chin in when you laugh. I want you to put it forward. You can throw your head up, but that chin's got to come forward. And I want you to use your body. So I want you to be like, okay, like, let me have it. And I'm watching for a real laugh. So I'm going to keep asking. I'm going to make stupid noises too. So you just like give me your fake laugh first, yeah. And then start again. And this time I want you to do a real beautiful big laugh. Go for it. Gorgeous. And I always ask people to let it go. Now, corporate headshots, no. Personal branding, yes. And I just wanted to show you how I take my expressions all the way up. Now, in terms of standing, let's say she does the arm fold, but we're straight on this time. So she's going to square up to me. She's going to be here and here. This is a superpower pose. She does not need to be straight up and down. We're going to give her a little kick in the hip, okay? And we're watching that torso. Okay, so we're going to tuck it in, and when she tucked her torso back, she tucked her chin in because they're connected by the spine. So we're going to separate them. That's it. I'm going to make sure she's got gorgeous CEO here. Remember, when you're on location especially, you still get a moment to zhoosh them. Get a moment to do their hair. Come up, and guys, don't be afraid. I have taught G how to... G, come here. You haven't got a mic on, but you come on in. And I want you to zhoosh her hair like you normal would for a normal client. Because G has learned, let me get around here so you can see. G has learned what to look for. And I always say to G, so when G first started, he would go like that, right? And what do? We close the curtains. Okay, show them close the curtains. So from this, you pinch that bit there, and it pinches and gives you a little bit of volume and hair around the face. Then what do? We separate hair from the cheek because we don't want the hair flat on the cheek. Like that. That's exactly right. And then, Jerson, we flip curls. We flip the top curtain out. That's it. Because we want to put a bit of fan in there, so we want it to fold out. And because G is a guy, he came to me early on and he goes, I don't understand hair. You need to show me. And I was like, I guess a lot of girls know about hair, but not all girls, right? So I had to teach you, and that's what you learned, and now you can zhoosh hair. I want to keep her hair back just for the look. Thanks, G. So from our standing position, let's do a front-on power pose. So she's going to go solid feet side by side, and which is your most flexible hip? Everybody has a different one. Yeah, that's it. So she sits really comfortably on her left hip. So now let's go here and just close that up. Right, that's perfect. So you can make your elbows smaller by bending that wrist up. Okay, if she does this, what happens? She gets a low triangle. Okay, and we don't want that. We want the triangle to go up. So we want her elbows to be a little bit on the inside of her shoulders, if at all possible. Now this hand can go up under there, or it can go there. Either works. Did you get that good? All right, now let's take that shot. So we've got it. And we're going to start here. Okay, chin up. Good girl. Perfect. So I'm at F8. 1/25 of a second, 100 ISO. I've got a Profoto B1. It's currently at 7.7. That's how much light I needed to get the shot that I wanted. And I'm just going to keep moving through poses. So let's, from this one here to this one here, let's do that, because I think seeing a second hand makes a difference. Beautiful. I love that look. Perfect. Now, I start thinking about rotation, because I will rotate her standing before I do anything else. So rotation for me is reset back to 45. Yep, face this way. And now what I want you to do is take one step forward with your left foot. That's it. And you're just going to look at me from the side. Now, you have to decide, as a portrait, if I leave her here and push forward, she's looking over her shoulder and it becomes sexy in portrait real fast. But if she's slightly open, then her body language is opening up to you. And so it starts to look a little bit less sexy. And we don't want to be all like rotation unless it's personal branding, and you can. So let me take this shot and see where her stance is. Now, I always say touch the front of your thigh, but not towards your crutch. So if you tell somebody to touch the front of their thigh, I want them just relaxed here. I don't want them like this. And if they go towards their crutch, you'll look at it. So the hand is just straight down, and then I'm going to just get her to come up onto this foot. And the reason I do that is just to put a nice, comfortable place for that arm. Did you notice her whole torso changed when she brought her knee up? Okay, so that's the perfect shot for this. Straighten up again, put your weight on both feet. Watch her torso, go again. Okay, there it is. And then I can decide where to put her arm. Now, if she was curvy, or he was curvy, he's not going to do this. I'm going to do men posing for corporate. This is woman. If she was curvy, I can still trim that arm and that back line on liquefier warp, right? So I don't need to turn it, but I love this half. So let's see if I've gone too far. You have to make a styling decision, whether you like that or not. I'm going to take a photo and see what it looks like. Now, your backhand, I want it to touch. That's a girl. Torso back a couple of inches. Good girl. Chin down. That's the one. And turn and look at me a little bit more with your face. That's the one. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to get low. See my position? Eye to eye. I'm actually below her eye because I want it to look very contemporary. This is gorgeous. I want you to give me an easy smile. A little more. Gorgeous. Now, gee, what if we just put a fan in just for one shot? I just want to let some hair come onto here. I'm just going to, just a little bit, maybe. Doesn't have to be too much. I just take the opportunity to do it. Would you do this at a headshot place? Probably not, but I'm also creating posing guides for headshots, corporate, personal branding, and I want to be able to incorporate all of them. So right now, G's going to do, let me do this shot here, easy smile. That's it. Now, no teeth, just a little smirk, and now he's going to put a little bit of air in there. Just a touch. We don't need too much. That's perfect. We just get a little bit of motion. We decided, Monique, that you look distinctly like Scarlett Johansson. It's crazy, especially when she had the red hair in The Widow, or that she was played The Widow. All right, chin down. Nice, G. That's just the right amount of fluff in there. That's what I wanted. Right. Now let's just look at this. This looks incredible, but she has to show her hands or I'm going to cut them off. So I'm going to go to here so that her hands are in the shot. Then I'm going to take one step in. Okay, and I'm going to cut off those hands, but I'm not going to cut off her elbows because I want her just in a lower crop. Now I'm going to come up under her boobs with my crop, top to bottom, but it's very tight. I don't want to go too tight. And now I've got 3 crops. Now, I know that she has a website and that she has a banner that goes across her website. So I want to make sure I save myself lots of design and Photoshop time and hit this here with space. I love that, G. And the reason I've shot with space is now I can create an amazing banner for her website with her logo and everything down the side. I'm giving myself space. Let's get a, bit of a smile. Good girl. Let's go here. And let's fold those arms again and just do that one shot there. Underneath, right elbow back. Perfect. I love that. And I extra love the way she stepped back as she's leaned back. See the shape in the back of her shoulder and back? It's gorgeous. All right, now, I just love this green seamless. It's so beautiful. The idea with personal branding is that we brought in more coloured seamless backdrops so we can be a little bit more creative. So I'm doing really traditional headshots posing. I'm just doing it on a gorgeous green background with a beautiful red head. Okay, let's put a box in. Oh, okay, let me keep her rotating. I got away. Okay, we're back here looking side on. All right, and your side on shot, I loved. If you take one step over, you're doing a back over the shoulder. I love this, but it might be a little bit too sexy, but let's try. So maybe she has a sexy brand or a sexy business. Maybe that's part of the deal. So let's do the arms folded again and see if I can do a little bit of a side pose. No, this is beautiful. Gee, I actually really like this. Now, you guys can decide out there whether you like this front hand or not. I'm going to swap it out and then you can tell me what you think. Okay, is that too much for personal branding? Okay, let's look at that hand, because if we don't like it, we have to put it under, so you have to swap hands. So tuck that front hand in, and I don't want to see that front hand, so you're going to tuck it right in up under there, but no, not under your armpit. Now pull it out back. That's it, more. Now tuck it up under. So I don't want to see it, and I don't want it to push your boob, so that's it, beautiful. Maybe drop both hands lower. That's it, good girl. So now I've got no hand in the front. Now open up slightly, whoop, there it is. Beautiful. Easy smile. More. That's a girl. Gorgeous. I like that. That's great. Now, from here, all your rotation, that's it. That's a full rotation. I do actually rotate people the other way. And the reason I do that is her hair is designed to come over the left side of her face. So when she's turned away, see from the front how that's sexy, because that looks there and that gives me an entirely different look. So when she looks this way, this here is what is like framing her face. Now when I turn her the other way and have her look back at Kellen, look back at that camera. Yeah, when I turn her this way, it's open, right? And it's not quite the same. This is the hair. So I would also make the decision to bring this forward and frame her that way if she was that side. Also, people are never symmetrical, although you are very symmetrical. And so sometimes one side looks better than the other, and it's not their best side. It's their best side. So, and people do have a preference. They will tell you if they don't like a side. All right. So from my standing, I really have to make basic decisions on hands. And I tell you what, simple rotation, stand towards me. Look at this. If she kicks out a hip and one hand goes behind, that's it. Now, that's it. Kick out a little more. All right, and then she can kick to this side. Both work either side. These are just simple torso back. That's it. Right there, chin down. And then you can decide how much hair to come forward or not. So a little bit of movement in her body. I'm going to take this back here, right up under my thing, chin down. That's a girl. Easy smile there. I like that a lot. Now I'm going to come in. Okay, and keep that front hand moving just a little bit. You can turn it around just a bit. Okay, let your smile go away, don't hold it. And then I'm coming up here, drop your right shoulder an inch. That's a girl. Now, look how close I am now. Now, I want you to connect both hands back. That's it, stay there. And I like this because it's straight up and down. Now, give me a slight tilt and a beautiful, easy smile. You got it. But there's a little bit of direction and shape in it. Bring the hand out so it's a little bit more sassy. That's it. And then from there, give me that tilt there. That's the one. Now, easy smile. Light it up. Beautiful big grin. You got it. Okay, we folded our arms. We touched our hips. Okay, we went 45. We folded our arms again. She leaned back a little. She did the side view, but she didn't do the look past because it was too much. And then we're now going to take her down. I prefer sitting poses for headshots. Well, let's look at why. If you sit here, I prefer sitting poses because as a photographer, especially a young photographer, I couldn't work out how to bring arms and legs up into the frame. And you can only do this with props. Now, it is feasible that you can travel with 2 Apple boxes. I have got an Apple box and I've actually got a little half. And the reason I have the half is for the feet to elevate 1 foot. So I'm just going to elevate 1 foot, and she's going to come right up onto her toe. That's it. Now I want the staggered legs. So now that she's sitting, I have way more poses. But I will say, disclaimer, if you have curvy people, and sometimes jackets make people look a lot bulkier than they are, bigger. So if you've got a big guy, he's going to look like a big guy in a suit. And honestly, standing is going to help because it's going to be easier to slim him down, but you will have less options. But it's okay, still try to do all of them. And the name of the game is always creating space around their body. So currently, she's sitting in a staggered leg position, and there are so many amazing poses I can do here. I'm actually going to kick that over, G. I've got a couple of Hanson thong blocks. I'm going to elevate one leg because I want more space here. Now, what we don't want is to sit like a dude. So I'm going to bring her knee across, whereas a guy would be somewhere out here, and you wouldn't really need to elevate his leg that high. You'd maybe elevate it with a half block. I'll do more guy posing. But girl posing, it's all about there. Now, we still want her to look super powerful. We just don't want her to be sitting with her legs apart. I call it Farmer Joe. When people pose women with their legs out, I think it looks like Farmer Joe. So I'm always making sure the knees are together like your mother taught you, right? Okay. So we'll just do that. That's beautiful. I like how her hair's coming off here. Now, I'm not going to get too worried about the hand. Everyone gets so worried about hands. Look, she's not actually pointing towards the camera. She's kind of half off. And right now, she's in a sideways sitting position. I don't know why everyone does this, but they do. So all I do is go like this. Okay, if I tell her to drop her elbows, she often lifts her shoulders. People do that and drop their elbows and pull in, and I don't want that. I want her to relax. I just want her to go, and I don't need her to suck them in too far, just comfortably. Then always adjust the jacket. So take the moment when you defluff people, just talk to them, touch their hair, talk to them, have a little joke, make sure you say their first name. Over and over again. It's a feeling of importance, and it's so incredible. And she's not honey, sweetie, darling, sweetheart. She's Monique. Like, call her name. This is a business. And when she walks in, you're going to make that eye contact. You're going to say, hi, Monique. This is painless, and I'm going to take the best photograph, the best headshot you have ever seen of yourself. You're going to want to use it until you get your hair cut or coloured, and then you're going to come back and do another one next year, right? So in this position, she's in a very simple, powerful sitting position. To me, this is easy, and let's have a look at how we can crop it. All right, so I want to get that torso relaxed a little bit more, so you can push back that torso a tiny touch and bring your chin around to me this way. Beautiful. So in this position, I'm just getting the top of the box, and I also want to make sure that her head is in the top third, so I'm just putting the hands a little bit further in the composition. So I'm going to bring her to about there. Okay, now lean forward onto that knee. Good girl. Stay there. You don't need to connect your hands. In fact, it's better if you don't. Left elbow can come back. Slide your hand forward. Now her hand is towards the camera. Let's take it and have a look. Okay, now let's change it. So I want her to turn her hand away from the camera, and that's when you can try linking hands if it's comfortable. If it doesn't look good, elbow down. So lean on in, torso back, knee across in the front because it's starting to open up. That's it. Get comfortable. You're not quite there yet. Elbow forward a little bit. Now lean everything forward. Like that's it. Pull back. There it is. I want it to look natural. Hands are different for every human being, and they don't look natural, so I want you to just put your other hand back up and just let that one fall over. Perfect. Just make sure this hand is not sitting in here on her crutch, because in camera it looks worse. So I want to pull it away there, elbow in. That's it. Make sure you adjust the suit because you want to make sure that the suit looks good. Make sure you put a lint roller in your camera bag and relax this hand. That's it. That's a girl. Perfect. It's always in the wrist, not in the fingers. Bend the wrist. So you're going to go up, down, that's it. You're just going to relax that hand. All right, this is gorgeous. It's an easy sitting position, and I think it's absolutely perfect, and I love it. There's a triangle through there, absolutely beautiful. Let's say I get in close, and I come to here, but I'm going to crop that hand, but I'm not going to cut it at the wrist. I'm going to go right in, tight headshot. There it is. Then I can do my banner with her knee up, and that's just without me moving. I'm just going to lean on back. And then I'm going to put my space on the other side. And I don't care if it's dirty frame, because there is enough green to lead me off. So, oh, I blinked. Sorry, you blinked and I caught it. There's enough to run off into a perfect banner design. I can even pull right back. Perfect. So, from here, I want you now to take your hands and just put them both down. So your elbows, they can just fall straight down. That's exactly right. And I want you to sit up tall. That's it. I'm just going to let a bit of her hair come to her shoulder. All right, look at this position. It's open. It's commanding. She's sitting up. There's a little bit of a shape in her leg. She's pointing her toe because she's got active legs. And bring your toe back. Slide the box. You can bring it back towards you. And it makes it so much easier to get your knee up. That's it. So you're there. Her hands are there and relaxed. Let's bring it forward a bit more. Your foot. Yep, plant it. That's it. I don't want it too high for this one. Knees together a little bit more. That's it. And just sitting up nice and tall. Now let's just release these elbows a bit so they're not up and, yeah, you got it. Beautiful. So with the hands, look at this. I'm still elevating her knee just a touch. And I want her, I'm just off on my angle, so let me get the right angle first. Okay, beautiful. Now from here, I want you to lean forward. That's it. Now open up, that's it, beautiful. Look at the difference between her tilting into me. It's like her whole body language is now coming towards me. Let's crop with the hands in, because she might want that. Let's crop with the hands out. And if I just get a little bit of hand in the bottom of this frame, it's okay because I can drop it out. But I can move in and out. Now let's put a triangle in here. Put your foot up and just come back out to here, but all the way down. So turn your body towards me. That's not your knee, just your shoulders. That's a girl. So sit up nice and tall there, and then bring this hand back. Okay, so you just got to reset the elbow so it just falls there. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to crop it across and in. Okay, let's bring this hand to here. So, in order for her, see what she just did? She just came down to her hand, and I need to bring her hand up to her face. No, what you did was perfect, because you did what everybody would do. You went down to your hand, and why? Because look at this. If she touched the side of her hair, she's got nothing to rest on. That's not a pose. Right, so if she's just touching her hair like this, but she's using her hair, her elbow wouldn't be out. So look at it like that. If you want to put that there, come forward a little touch. Yeah, now I'm bringing her hand up to her face. All right, now we never cover the ear. Why? Because we're talking on the phone. So this would be the perfect CEO shot right now. If she was talking on the phone, do that. No, but soft like a phone. I see people do this all the time. Tell me this person is not on a cell phone call. That is what it looks like. Also, can I also say the body language of this pose is I don't want to hear what you're saying. And if you're talking to someone that's covering their ear, they don't want to hear what you're saying. So you have to stop talking. So don't do that. What I want you to do is just touch the back of the neck below the ear. Now pull away a little bit. So, yes, because she's not leaning on it. It's posed there. Now, a little bit more shoulder in the front towards me. Good girl. Beautiful. And let's just light that up nice and easy. Good girl. That's absolutely gorgeous. Now, I don't know that I need to do a lot more. Let's see if we can friendly it up a bit. Let's drop that hand down, lean forward a little bit more, and just put your fingertips in your hair. So you're not flat, you're just like, I can see your hand. So it's just floating like a comb. That's it, beautiful. And then you're going to just come forward and just give me a beautiful smile. I'm just watching this line of hair. So it's playing with it. It's not that. So it's not cell phone call. I've got to see those fingers there. That's the one. And you've got to use that shoulder in the front. Good girl. And give me that gorgeous big smile. And see how she pushed her hand down between her leg. So she used her front shoulder, and that was great. And she just went from something she could give her mum and dad from Christmas to her corporate headshot, which I think is great. I love the hourglass. So I'm going to just turn her body towards me. And check this out, guys. Look, these are Hanson Fong posing boxes. They come in a box of like 6. And they're different sizes, and they're portable. Then the Apple boxes come in halves. These will save your life. When you are posing groups of people in headshots, which we're going to teach you, you need different elevation. For limbs, you need different elevation for shorter people, taller people. You want to bring everybody up, down. You want to give a foot to rest on. And these little halves are amazing. They're easy to transport. So look at this. I'm going to look at her from the front, and I want to elevate her left leg. So I'm going to put her left leg here, and that's not quite enough. So I'm going to come up again, and I'm going to use 3 boxes or a second Apple box, all right? Now, this is the rule. If you want her knee to be higher, you watch from the front. If you want her knee to be higher, push the box closer to her. And if you want it higher still, make her come up onto her tippy toe, right? And if you want to friendly it up or open up her body, so if she had curves and she had a belly and she couldn't do that, watch this. I'm going to, no, you stay comfortable. I'm moving you. If you want that knee to drop, just drag the box away. It's so easy. Okay, from here, I want her about there. Relax those shoulders. Okay, now this foot's coming in. Now we're going to do an hourglass pose. And I feel like the hourglass pose works really well with corporate for women. And I'm going to show you why. We're going to take her shoulder out. Okay, I want to see her hair, but it's not about her hair. We're going to take her beautiful shoulder shape. We're going to taper down to her waist. We're going to take it out to the hips. And then we're going to use that front knee to bring her arms up into the crop and into the frame. And it's really simple. I want to make sure. Let's try something. Let's just try. Oh, gosh, I love that. I'm just going to put a little pop there and there. So from front on, this hand needs to relax and then elbow down. Okay, so let it come forward a tiny touch more. This knee needs to cross over. That's a girl. So a lot of people keep that knee open in the front, and you really want to get that hourglass. And let's bring this hand back a touch and then your shoulder over. Gee, can you pull a jacket? Because I'm just getting a, at the back. So see how her jacket's riding up because she's sitting forward? You just want to pull that down and reset that shoulder. That's why suits are so annoying. When people would bring in jackets or big white shirts for their portrait shoot, I'd be like, no. Okay, knees together. Oh, stay there, stay there. Open your knees up. You have a look at this pose like this. Chin up a bit. Now close those knees. Hello, much better. There we want to be there. Okay, from here, what are our expressions? What are our poses? Knees together, so this knee is going to come across. Bring your elbow back, a tiny touch. That's the one. Hand down. I want the wrist lower than the elbow, all right? That's exactly right. Drop that shoulder a little bit, sit up taller, and then you'll come up. There you go. Right elbow in. Yes, good girl. Okay, and then let's do a little slight tilt. Beautiful. Okay, no smile. Baby smile, just a little touch. No, sorry, I got a blink. That was my fault. Like easy smile, go. Okay, from here, lean into me. Now, when I said lean into me, she mirrored my pose, right? She just did what I did. So sometimes they do something different, and I will always just wait and see. Now, at the moment, the difference between Monique and me is Monique has her hand in front of her face, and I have my hand under my chin. So just, no, bend your fingers. That's it, and just find it naturally. You'll find your own groove. Now, right foot in. Yep, that's it. So I think you should come up onto your toe because you're having trouble getting to your face and you want to elevate the knee to bring the hand up to the face. And then I just want you to sit on it. There you go, beautiful. So just nice and easy there. Bring that knee across. Gotcha. Big, easy smile. Go for it. I don't know when you'd find the hand would work. Sometimes it works and sometimes it looks too friendly and sometimes it looks like you're trying too hard. Put it in and then take it out. So stay there and just drop this hand straight down. Stop. Now, she has a choice. Same shot, one hand up, one hand down. But if you don't do that, you don't get the choice. And it's so easy if you have the choice. Let's go back to she's front on, but I'm going to just put 2 hands down and I'm going to leave one knee up. Too high, so I'm going to take a block because I want it to look comfortable. And you're not like this, because that's what you're currently doing. You're like this. Yes. Now, it works because she had her knees apart slightly. And so look at this. Instead of showing you Monique's crutch to the camera like that, I'm going to point this knee towards the camera, and then I'm going to turn this one and step out. There you go. So she's kind of open like V that way. She's not V to the front of the camera. Okay? So there, from that side-on position, her hands are more relaxed. I just want you to find your hand space. Yep, don't link fingers. That's a go. Just easy. That's it. And come towards me a little tiny touch more. Now release your elbows. Now, the reason I asked her to release her elbows is she had them too gripped in, and I just want them out. That's it. A bit more. This one. There you go. You can bring that foot towards me and then lean on in. You got it. Like it's a forearm. Yes. Perfect. That is a really comfortable position. She looks super comfortable. Her body looks good. She looks powerful. The only thing I would do is sit up a little taller. Yeah, and don't lose that. You know, so you don't lose the fact that you're leaning in on that shoulder. Let people be themselves a little bit. Like, you know, we don't have to hold to the old rules. The old rules sucked anyway. They were great to learn, but don't tell me I can't crop with negative space. That's 2019. Like, seriously, if you looked at this shot and said the hands aren't perfect, and it was just a killer shot of her and her brand, I don't care. She looks comfortable. I'd rather her look real and comfortable than anything else. Bring your chin down to me. Easy smile there. I actually think that's a super powerful pose for a woman because it's not feminine, it's not masculine, but it's not also like putting her in a bucket of anything. She's just looks super comfortable, super stylish, and super in control of her life. I think it's gorgeous and I love it. Okay, from here, look at that. Simple elevation, using that elbow, pushing that torso back, relaxed hands, push that chin forward. And how often did you hear me say, lean into me? Look at it like body language. If I'm here or I'm here, we're having a tense conversation. If I'm turning my body away from her, we're having a tense conversation. But if we were sitting at a dinner party side by side and I was interested in you and your conversation, I'd be leaning towards you. If we were at a table or at a cafe and we were into each other, we were friends, then we'd be leaning towards each other. And when people are really attracted to each other, they mirror each other when they're talking. It doesn't have to be sexual attraction. You can totally just like someone and vibe with them, and then you start mirroring their energy. The weird thing is, try it. It's so crazy. I thought this guy really liked me once, and I tried the mirror game, and get this. We were sitting at the table, and I texted my 2 best girlfriends and said, watch if he mirrors me, and I instantly went into power pose on the table, and he didn't. His best friend did. So then I went into like that pose and he instantly copied me. The best friend. And I remembered sitting there thinking, he copied 5 poses. And then my friend texted, well, you were looking at the wrong one. And I was just like, it's so interesting. So we mirror people when we like them. And so if you are sitting in a position, you can literally copy anything that they're doing and sit with them, and they're going to feel more familiar, more comfortable. So that to me looked great. Also, have you noticed, don't move. The longer I talked to her, the more she relaxed in this pose, and I'm just going to quickly take one more because I really like it. Now, give me a slight tilt this way and a nice easy smile. That's a gorgeous big smile. Let it go. Perfect. And you used your shoulders. That was amazing. Okay, From here, we wouldn't do a rotation because it's not going to work. And your 15 minutes is up anyway, and that's all you got with her. So I feel like that's enough solid, basic headshots. The only other thing that I would suggest, so if she was a curvy woman, you wouldn't be able to get her knee up so high. All you have to do is walk the box towards you, let her come towards you, okay, and open her body up. So you're opening her body up here if she was curvy. Then you want to open her body up here and here because that's where we need to open up for curves. And then you would shoot at a slightly higher angle than normal and bring her chin up a tiny touch. Then I'm looking down on her. And if you want to see how this looks on her body, this doesn't work on her body because I'm just going to make her look like a lollipop and be all head, but on a curvy body, it's going to look beautiful. So just using the forward tilt, shoulder drop, side tilt for curves. Remember, as long as you leave a little bit of space around them, you can slim around their body. Smiles, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 to a big laugh, and just keep it simple. Now, if you're photographing 40 headshots, and that's pretty good because that works out to be like a $90,000 shoot, and you think, oh no, I've only got like 12 poses. Yes, I want you to think, wow, I've got 12 poses. So you put every person through 6 of them and choose their best shot. Keep it simple. Oh, it's exciting. Let's have a look at personal branding. Oh, but first we have to pose men. And then we're going to do a corporate group. We're going to start with 2, a man and a woman. They're not a couple. So how do I pose them together, make them look strong and close, but not touching? And then 2 women, and then men, woman, men, and then a team. Thank you. Oh, let's talk about posing for headshots and corporate headshots and personal branding, of course. Headshots being a little bit more rigid, personal branding being a little bit more contemporary. George is my model today, so I want to touch on posing men for corporate and headshots, but I also want to do some multiple poses for 3 people to show you how to do a C-class team or maybe an executive team or a CEO or just their top line. How do you pose 3 people together for a corporate shot but they don't touch each other? So what I want you to do first is I'm going to start with the male posing. I want you to go to SBE, go to the download page, and I want you to download the men's posing guide. For starters, the men's posing guide has every single pose that can be used for headshots right through to stylish personal branding, and also just for really awesome men posing for portraits. So we're going to start with George, and I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite tips. Now you'll also find on the downloads page this guide, and this is called posing big men. So we also, we don't call men with curves, we call big men was our workshop. We actually have a dedicated class to photographing big men just to help you get around all of the things you have to do with a bigger body, like when you're posing men with no chin, when they've got a big belly in the way, and you've got to get around, make them look super good with these little challenges. There is a guide specifically for big men as well. Although all the same rules apply, there's a little bit of a difference between posing men and posing women. So let's just take one shot. We've set up George right now. G's going to take a shot of George. He's sitting front on, bad posture, nice and low, no smile. Yeah, we'll start there. Okay. And there is our front-on shot. The first thing we do is shape the body. I'm always going to lead in a shoulder for men and women. Now remember, when women lead in, they lead in strong with their shoulder and chin connection. Men do not connect the shoulder. They lean down towards the camera, but they don't close this gap. So don't close the gap, because when guys bring their chin and shoulder together, it looks very feminine. You bring your chin and shoulder together and it looks wrong for the guys. They've got to stay open and wide. We close our bodies down. So it's a little bit of opposite. So the first thing I'm going to do in order to bring George's arms up into the frame is I'm going to elevate one foot. I'm using a Hanson block posing, or I can use a little half apple box, because I simply want to elevate his foot. The further I elevate his foot, the more he can bring it into the frame. If I just elevate it a half, that elevates it a little bit so he looks comfortable. If he needs more of a boost, I can put a second box. Now, if it's too high and he starts to look uncomfortable, All I have to do is put your foot on there, is shift the box forward towards the photographer and see his knees dropping down. So when his hand's here and he's leaning forward, now why do we get them to lean forward? If George's arm is back here, it's stiff and he doesn't have much movement and it's against his body in a kind of protective way. I want him to be leaning forward, projecting confidence, nice and strong. When he brings forward, be very conscious that his legs aren't separated towards the camera. So I look at it like this. If this one is pointing towards me or the photographer, then his other leg is here. His shoulders are on a 45-degree angle this way. What this does, when he then turns his chin to the camera and connects with Jerson, is Jerson looks at his hands, makes sure his hands look comfortable, and then he shoots just below that knee, and he has all this beautiful shape and design in there. And that's what we come up with, which I really love. So let's have a look at a couple of combinations. I love the hands here. You can punch in a little tighter and crop just below his knee for a tighter shot and do a different expression. That looks super good. Just don't lose too much crop around the head. Perfect. Now, at this point, you can go through all of the flow posing on the Big Men and Men's Posing Guide. They are side by side, so it gives you multiple options to try different hands, different elevations, an elevation on the back foot, different compositions, a lean back. But you can work through all of those poses. What I want to do now is how would I add a female or another male to the shot and make it look really good. So first of all, I'll bring in Jen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change George's foot elevation because I'm going to put Jen on this side. So I'm going to put this elevation on this side so that George's left foot is now elevated and his right foot is down. So now he's going to turn his position this way. So I'm actually going to get him to put his knee back here so Jen sits between his legs. Now normally you would see this position, so come around so that your legs are on either side of this box. Normally you would see this position, and I don't know that I need to elevate his front leg now, but let me just give him a little boost there. And that gives him the opportunity to now lean forward towards Jerson. Now look at it like this. Pose Jen as a woman, pose George as a man, and have them sitting close to each other. Don't connect their bodies. So only if they were brother and sister would I ever let them touch hands or body, feet, legs. I would never, ever have anybody touching each other if they're not a couple. Now, if they're a couple in business and they want to be touching each other because they're a known couple in business, that's okay, because then you can say husband and wife team, you know, and you can pose them like a husband and wife, but put a little bit of a sort of professional edge on it, unless their business or their brand is super professional, or then you can decide how personal they want to project their own image. So when I have a male and a female together that are not a couple, I want to pose Jen in the most beautiful way, 45 towards the camera. George is now 45 towards the camera. I'm going to sit Jen here, and even though his body language is open up, no, you can keep that back. Even though his body language is open up towards me, we're not connected in any way. So when I do my pose for the camera, whatever that, Jerson sets my pose, and George is in his pose, we'll get Jen in here, and then we'll have a shot together. So Jen, when you sit down, that's beautiful. Let's put your left elevation, that's perfect. Let's just set your pose. Okay, now you can see that they're a bit of a distance away from each other. So I'm going to make sure I put them together, but I don't want them to look like they're together. So Jen, I'm going to get you closer. Now this is something you might have to talk to people about, because when I sat them down, I put them together like this and I move them together. Now, I don't want them to be touching, but I do need them close. And for a lot of people, especially work colleagues, they might think this is too close. So you have to explain, when you stand away from someone, like when it's a portrait, we tend to get people right in here, face to face. But when we're doing something a little bit more professional or corporate, they can be nice and close, but just not face to face and not touching, unless that's your brand and vibe. Okay, so it's really important. Ask people, how do you want to portray your team? Are we all in power poses like the Avengers? Are we all like just friendly and we're an amazing staff, we're like a family? But honestly, the touching is everything. If I was going to be behind Jen, I don't want to be touching Jen. I want to be holding my own power position. So I always look at it like this. Have a look at all the power poses for single men and single women, and then put them together in their power poses, and then fill up all the gaps that you want to fill up. So for just this 2 shot sitting down, we've got to make sure that Jen is in her position. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure 2 things. George, you're going to come forward towards Jerson. You're going to turn this way. You're going to go taller, and you're going to relax your body. And then you're coming in to meet in the middle where their heads look good. G's going to align that. Pull back a little bit and just get those knees. That's beautiful. Let's try putting them a little closer together. But in the heads, George, come forward. Jen, go back. Jen, put your chin up. That's it. And remember, George, you're leaning away. G, you can tell him where to come. A little bit this way, yeah. Yes. You tell him how far to come forward, because you're looking through the camera at this space. Perfect. Now, start there. Now, imagine standing. If you were going to add a third, if this was a family shot, I would instantly go for the triangle, right? Because I'm looking to build that stack. But you have to really ask yourself, if you were putting in a third, let's go to a standing position and see if that helps. So Jen, you stand here. George, you stand straight up. I'm going to take out these boxes. So when I start standing positions for men or women, I always make sure I start with the power stance first. So you mirror me, George, and you just step forward with your right foot. No mirror. That's it. Right. So you're just going to go 45 degrees. So George is standing at a 45-degree angle to the camera here. This is where he can do all of his power poses. He can fold his arms. He can have his hands relaxed. He can have his hands in front. Just make sure that they're not holding the crutch in the front. If they put their hands into their pockets, you have to decide if their hands are going to be seen or not, and how professional they look, or if it looks too casual, and if their hands are just by them sides, but it's the shoulder. Now I could literally actually, Jen, you're going to come in behind. And again, if we were a family, instantly I would close the gap between our faces, right? I would reach for Jen, she would reach for me, George would wrap his arms around us, we'd all squeeze in, we'd make that triangle, and we'd take that horizontal shot. But it's exactly the same, but without touching. So Monique's going to come over here. Now I have to decide, do I want Monique here, standing strong, side by side? Do I want her like this, with her back staggered in a line? And then do I want her front on, just to complete? Now she's going to hold her own powerful position, but not be connected to George, but be standing right beside him. Now the heads are not leaning into each other, so there's no connection there with energy. And then I have to decide where Jen looks the best, because Jen can also turn her back and do a power pose this way, so her front foot can go towards you, and she can do a variety of poses where she's standing strong, and then we can decide whether to bring turn Monique in, and that everybody is in their own power stance. George can go arms folded, Jen turn around and go this way, Monique is standing strong. They're all holding their own space, but without touching. Now you can get them in as close as you want. You can start using staggered poses. You can connect them as close as their body, but again, without touching. And then you can decide how to elevate them, meaning do they need a little apple box? Are they too short? So you have to decide. When you've got a tall person in the middle, we could elevate the girls by half a step. Let's just try it, just to see if we make the shot better. Also, I want to try and get them in as close as I can to George without anybody feeling uncomfortable. So these people work together. They're professionals, and we want to make sure that they look good, and we want to make sure they look strong, and we want to make sure that they look like a professional team. So you can pose them. This might be a better shot. Now let's see if we can get as close as possible. So I know it feels uncomfortable, guys, but you're doing good. George, keep your legs apart, because that's perfect. Put your back foot out a little bit further. Yep, that's it, because that drops him an inch. Now I want you to relax your hands by your sides and turn your body open towards G a little bit more. All right, that's perfect. So now, see, Jen instantly turned and did a look over the shoulder. More Jen, more shoulder, and Monique's holding her power pose. So just change your hands, and they're all holding a very strong pose. And then you can work your way through there, and then do that way, go vertical horizontal as well. Yeah, beautiful. So it's all about the touching. I think you missed, George.
Yeah. Just
one more.
Here.
Yeah, let's get that.
Chin forward this way, George.
And down a bit, George. Chin down, down. Yeah. Don't change anything. Monique, change your arms. Jen, turn around, turn your back towards George and go into power pose. So you're there and there.
Chin this way.
And lower with this hand, put it under. That's a girl, perfect.
Beginning of his
And look at me this way, just drop that wrist. Perfect. And so just remember, open up, nice and strong.
Beginning of a smile. There we go.
All right, so it's all about not touching. They can go as close as they want, no touching. But the bigger question is, what vibe are you trying to put out there? Just remember, if you have guys and girls and they're all together, they just want to focus on learning single posing. Every pose you do for the guys is about the guy posing for his body. Every pose you do for the women is about the woman posing for her body. If you watch the single female posing that we did with Monique, look at all the little variations of up, hourglass, and just do a combination of all of the poses and make sure that they get right into touching each other. So make sure that you have people right up on each other. Just explain to them, I'm going to make you stand close, and it's going to feel like you're too close, but it's quite weird. You see this body language, right, in photographs when people don't want to stand too close to each other and they start to lean away from each other. Watch that, because it's a very obvious body language, like people are uncomfortable. And if you see people are uncomfortable, it's usually who's standing right next to them. Be very mindful of how you're posing the groups. Draw out the poses before you get there. Find out how many people are going to be in the team. Do a bit of research on group posing. Google incredible ways to pose groups. Look at all the Annie Leibovitz composites that she does of multiple actors and actors. They are all in their own pose, doing their own thing, leveled out. And you can also go to the composition video on SBE, where I posed 8 different girls. I actually used the same girl and composited her in, but it works just the same for 8 different people, and do a gorgeous big Annie Leibovitz spread. Have fun. Thanks, G. That was perfect.